takeoff, and estimate kit. All right. So when you're first actually looking at the software, okay, you should be able to get a page that looks something like this. It's going to give you an option of being able to import something from a plain page or a title and notes block. Now, the title and notes block, this is going to allow you to have this option here. So if you're going to do your own designs, this would be something that you would select. Okay, however, as the demonstration I'm going to be doing today is going to be A1 1 to 50 plain page takeoff, I can select that, click OK, and then what's going to happen is it's going to be loaded up into a page like this. From here, you would then select Scan and Trace, and then go to Import Drawing on the left-hand side. Once I've selected this, I then have the option to bring in a PDF, an image, okay, or a CAD drawing. This could be a JPEG, bitmap, depending on what you want to work with. Once I select that, then I can then start looking at the different types of options I can bring in. So if I go to Plans and go Simple Drawing for the Plans Express Import, I'm going to have this plan come in here. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be doing a takeoff of this lean-to extension. Now at the top here you have the set rotation, because not every PDF that you get is going to be the perfect rotation. Page 1 of 1, when you're looking at PDFs of particular jobs, you usually get about 14, 15 pages, included with their specification as well. So you just select the relevant page and then you'll be on your way. And then going from here, you've got the import quality. You've got everything from best, better, and standard. Okay, I'm just going to go with better. Click finish. And then the command window down in the left-hand corner here is telling you to give the first corner point. That's always the bottom left-hand corner. And as you can see, once I'm hovering my mouse around this corner, it's saying origin and it's snapping to that corner. The software does use something called a snapping tool. All right. So what I can do is I can bring that in here, drop it in place, and then I have my plan in front of me. Now what I'm actually doing is I'm grabbing and moving this plan with my middle mouse wheel. Okay, so what you can now see is that we have a scale of 1800 here. I need to make sure that this scale is correct. So if I go to Measure Image Scale at the top left-hand corner, highlight the plan, and then click between these 2 points. So I'm just going to click number 1, and holding Shift, keep that line dead straight, and number 2. And type in 1800. Although it's moved minimally, I know that's now the correct size and scale. Okay, what I want to do now is set myself some construction lines. It's going to allow me to keep the lines nice and straight for one, but also allows me to start snapping to corners with my walls, because as you can see, if I start trying to grab any corners, nothing really gets highlighted. So if I go to the Drawing and Annotation tab at the top of the screen, I can go from there, click horizontal, and I can start going around the plan itself. Okay, so if I do that here, I'm moving around this plan with my mouse wheel again. And then on the left-hand side, we have that there. And now what we have are our construction lines. All right, and now if I start clicking them, they become dashed as well. So first thing I want to do is actually put this wall here in place, because this is currently, it's not the superstructure that we're actually going to be building at the moment, in a moment anyway, but it is already there. So we want to make sure that everything we're going to be building to that is going to be estimated for. Okay, so if we go to the architectural tab at the top left-hand corner, we've got all these options at the top, so everything from your external walls to your internal, any feature masonry, doors, windows, structural openings, stairs, flooring, and so on. Okay, what I do want to do is I want to drop this down on the external side, and I want to be able to select brick and block cavity wall, brick and ICF, brick and tips, external cavity block wall, rendered ICF, rendered tips, and so on. Okay, over to the brick and block cavity wall, I can then start going for a ground floor or an additional floor. Differences between the two is the ground floor is going to estimate a foundation, the additional floor isn't. And then on the right-hand side of this description, you've got single story and multi-story. So single story is going to allow me for 2.4 meters to the ceiling height. Multi-story is going to allow me for another 225 mil for that joist to go in there as well. Okay, so if I select that one, we then go through what we call the dimension wizards. Okay, these dimension wizards will appear now. Okay, so we've got the height of the wall. It's not asking us about the length because we're going to draw that in ourselves. So if we go to show tech tips, show tech labels, what this allows us to do and see is every time that I click a box, we're going to have a description of what we might be able to change in that top left-hand corner, right-hand corner, sorry. Okay. Going from the wall dimensions, we then got the foundation details, 0.9 meters deep, 0.6 meters wide, 400 mil worth of concrete. If you want to change that, you can just delete and type in what the depth of foundation that you need, okay, or the concrete that you need. It's also going to have planking structure excavation. Is that going to be a yes or no? You can set that as a no if you like. And then the bulking factor of the excavated material. So what we're calculating is that soil coming out of the ground is going to expand by half. All right, so we have a bulking factor of 1.5 there. Click next. We've then got the footing details. So this could be the splash course depth, brickwork depth below the splash course, height of the blockwork to the outer leaf below DPC, cavity width, cavity flow depth below top DPC, height of the blockwork to the inner leaf below DPC, height of the trench blocks as well. All right. And then last but not least, we've got the plastering and decorating. All right. Is the main wall block going to be plastered? Yes or no? Is it going to be decorated? Are you going to be skirting that wall as well? Are you going to be priming and decorating that skirting as well? Once you're happy with that, click finish, and you can pop that first wall in place. Now, as you can see, there's an arrow currently pointing at the word lounge. All right, I need to make it long enough to be able to point there. But that's indicating the external side, and what we want is we want that facing the other way. So if that is the case, all you've got to do is just go up to the top left-hand corner. Where it says justification and external side, just select the external side that you want, and then you can place that in there as well. All right. But now what I want to do is I want to set this wall as non-estimated because we are not building this wall. Okay. And to do that, all you've got to do is just highlight, go to modifying selection, and then select selection as non-estimated. All right, click yes, and that's all going to be done and dusted there. Okay, now you do have an option of being able to ask any questions. So if you can, or if you do have any questions on the right-hand side, just type them in, and I'll be more than happy to answer them as we go through. All right. Right. Going from here, we can then start going into the external walls as well. Now, as you've already seen what the dimension wizard looks like, what I can do is I can just click this wall icon, and it's going to actually pull in all the information that I did previously. Okay, so all those dimensions of saying I want the wall to be this height, the foundation depth and width. Okay, if I click the icon, it takes me back to the last time I've selected an external wall with that particular specification. Okay, so if I click that there, I can then start going around these corners, and again, that's facing the wrong way again. Sod's law. I can then start popping this into place. And as you can see, I'm not zooming all the way into the corners because these construction lines have allowed us to be able to just click into the corners. And the luxury, as you can see, okay, is that between the difference between estimated and non-estimated will actually be a hashing that you can see on the wall itself. Okay, so this is clear, this isn't. Going from there, I'm going to drop in some flooring. You can usually go from left to right. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. Okay, but I like just making sure that everything is filled in. Okay, so if I go to the flooring, I can hit the drop-down box, and we have a suspended floor, floor cassettes, beam and block flooring, floor slabs, screeding as well, tiling and commercial carpeting if we want to do that also. Okay, so if I go with a floor slab, we then have house slab, extension slab, ground slab, renovation slab, irregular shaped floor slab as well. And if I go with an extension slab, I've got reinforced or unreinforced. I select reinforced. We then go into another dimension wizard. So turn those tech tips and labels on. First off, we've got the thickness of the sand blinding, thickness of the subbase, thickness of the slab itself, with allowance for uneven subbase. Is there a damp-proof membrane? Yes or no? The overlap of that damp-proof membrane. Is there insulation to the underside of the slab? Is there reinforcement to the bottom? Is there reinforcement to the top? Is it power flip finished? Yes or no? Okay. And last but not least, you've got the plant required for the concrete slab. Well, as you can see, this is all zeroed out right now. You can, if you want to, fill this in yourself. Okay. Or what you can do is you can let the software calculate it for you. Now, a slab like this is going to take about a day, 2 days to actually fill in. All right. So the software will allow for that as well. And then all you have to do is just start. Oh, terribly sorry. Click into those corners and drag that all the way down. Once I'm happy with that, the software is then going to ask, do I want to place a perimeter of insulation? Yes, I do. And all I have to do is just start filling in the depth of the perimeter of insulation. And I can just go around the corners with that as well. Okay, I don't need to place any more perimeter of insulation, so I can just say no to that. Now, depending on whether you are power flip finishing it or not, you can then start dropping in your screed. Okay, so I can drop in an area of floor screed. We've got the depth. Is the floor to be insulated? Is the screed supplied as a ready-mix screed or not? Yes or no? Is the screed reinforced with mesh? And then again, it's about your plant. All right. And this time you just go around the corners again. And there you have your screed. All right. Going from here, we can then start dropping in our internal walls. So we have our internal wall here. If I hit the drop-down box, we've got internal cavity block wall, block wall, stud wall, metal stud partition, ICS, SIPs, depending on what we want to work with. If I go with a metal stud partition, 2.4 meters high, we've got the height, the width of the studding centers. I can turn on those tech tips and tech labels. Width of the wall, 100 mil. Allowance for screws and fixings, £2 per square meter. All right, and then we can see how many layers of plasterboard we want to each side. We've just got one for the now, okay, but you can make that more if you need to. All right, click finish. I can pop that wall into place. Do I want to allow for any fixing channels or fixing? I'm just going to go no for the now, and then we can start working on our doors and windows. So first off for the doors, we've got internal doors to do first, and then we've got a patio door at the back. We go for the internal doors. We hit the drop-down box. We've got the internal door here. If I select typical panel door, we've got the option between block wall and studding. Okay, the difference between the two is that a block work wall is going to allow for a lintel. A studding wall won't. Okay, so if I select that block work wall, we've got 2 meters in height, 1 meter in width. We can go with the fixing details, reveal and jam details, plastering and threshold details, and decoration specification. All right, and then it is all just drag and drop. And then we want to do the same again, but this time in the studding. So height, width, reveal and jam details, plastering and threshold details, decoration spec, and we can stick that one in there as well. Okay. Now, all along, the software is actually building up a 3D representation of what it's going to be looking like. So I can go to the 3D preview. I can start having a look at what we're actually building up. Now, this is the design and takeoff image. Okay. This is a takeoff and estimate kit image. Okay, so that's the differences you get within your visualizations. All right, but I do like the rendered finish. Going from here, we can start selecting our windows and doors for our patios and our PVC windows as well. So first off, the doors, again, I want to go, and I'm going to select something called Crystal Direct. Now, Crystal Direct are a PVC manufacturer. Okay. They do windows, doors, conservatories. They also have aluminium bifold windows and doors as well. As you can see, we've got those in there as well. All right. So if I go for the patio door for now, what's going to come up is an option of us being able to select our patio door. Now, the luxury of Crystal Direct in our software allows you to select the color, the width, the spec, the range as well. Okay, so I can select a color of, say, anthracite. Width is going to be 1800, and I can select either one of these. Okay, both the same expense, but they slide different ways. All right. It will recommend you a lintel, cavity closers, and then we go into the dimension wizard again of plastering and threshold details, decoration spec. All right, and I can stick that one in here. If I pop that one down, we can then see I can make it slide any which way. Okay, going from there, we can then go into the windows. So Crystal Direct again, select a nice window. So we've got the U value, I can go for a 1.1. Color, make sure that it's anthracite, again. Width, 1800. Height, dependent, I'm just going to go just over a meter, and then we've got that PVC window in there. All right. Once I'm happy with that, it will then provide me a lintel, cavity closers again, height from the top of DPC, plaster and sill details, decoration spec, and then I can just pop that window in there. All right. Now, your 3D image is also going to show that you've selected your grey doors and windows as well. Okay. So you can show your client a little bit more of how it's going to look. We do have something called 3D Photo Visualizer as well. That does come with the ultimate packages of Plans Express. Okay. And what you can do with that is you can actually take a photo of the plot of land or the house that you're actually doing the work upon, and then you can superimpose your extensions and your builds on that as well. Okay, so it's entirely up to you if that's something that you would actually like to do. It gives you a stronger rendering image as well. All right. From here, we can then start doing anything from drainage to electrical and plumbing. Okay. So if I wanted to do the electrical, if I hit this drop-down box, we have quite the selection here. Everything from your downlights all the way through to your light switches and your sockets. So if I go for a double socket downstairs, what I can do is I can just select and place. All right, it just depends on what I want, where I want it, and if I think it's going to be worthwhile having. All right, and again, you light switches as well. By this point, you might actually have a subcontract cost anyway. All right, and plus you would never put a light switch behind the door. It's a terrible placement. But you can do that as well if you like. All right, depending on where you need them to be placed. Okay. And then what we can do is we can start doing the roof. So I can hit this drop-down box. We've got a cut roof or a truss roof. We can also select flat roof, tips roofs as well. Okay, so if I select a cut roof, I'm going to go with a 30-degree pitch right now. But as you know, this is fully customizable. I can change this to 25 if I wanted to. It's entirely up to me. I'm just going to leave it as 30 for now. And then the software asks a couple of questions about the roof. Now, the first question it asks is height of the gable to the underside of a barn head. Now, you might not be making that roof. If that's the case, just ignore it. All right, and you'll see why in a moment. You've also got the thickness of the roof, soffit width of the gables. You can go into the timber of the roof strap details as well. So, length of the gable noggins, gable strap to joist level centers, the rafter centers, the joist centers as well, length of each hip corner tie, Clip fixing centers, how far you want them apart as well, so it can calculate how many gusset clips that you want. The tiling and insulation information. Now, if you're going to be dealing with starting boards, you can select that option as well. And then the roof finishes. Are you going to be plastering? Are you going to be decorating? Are you going to be priming and decorating the fascias and soffits as well? Most likely not. They're usually UPVC. All right. But the reason the software was asking you earlier on about that barn hip is because you can select a roof with a barn hip. If you're not, there's no worry. You're just selecting a different type of roof. And when you're going to place your roof, always select a wall so it can guess its wall height. And then it's always gable first. So you've got the length by the width there. Do I wish to consider flat ceiling, vaulted ceiling, purlins and binders at this stage? If I go yes, I can place an area of flat ceiling. So we've got the joist centers, the height of the ceiling. And then all I've got to do is just place in where I want that ceiling. So that's in there for me here. No more flat ceiling. And if I want to place an area of vaulted ceiling, we've got the width of the rafter centers. Oh, terribly sorry. And then all I have to do is just select the eaves line and then draw in my vaulted ceiling as well. And it's some lines in there for you to show the difference. All right. No more vaulted ceilings. I'm not going to worry about the purlins and binders at this stage or rainwater pipes. But what I will do is I'll just show you the view in 3D of what the roof looks like now. And if I go to the back, we can see that one of these has a flat roof and one of these has a vaulted roof. Okay, flat ceiling, vaulted ceiling, sorry. Now we can place some Bollocks if we want to. All we have to do is just go into the architectural tab, go into the attic, and then we can select our roof windows as well. Okay, so we have the Bollocks in there if necessary. And that is plans expressed in the takeoff capacity. All right. Do we have any questions before we go into Estimator Express? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to save this job. So I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner, click save it to my desktop anyway, and call it Evening Dem. Save, I can exit out of this in the top right-hand corner. And then what we're going to have here is Estimator Express 2019. Now, a lot of your estimating usually happens late at night. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the beast. Okay, so if you ever do get headaches of looking at such a bright background, okay, up to the top here in the top left-hand corner in the settings, you can change the software theme, similar to your Skype and that. So you can go for a dark theme if you like. So you can select that, and what that's going to do is essentially help you with your headaches as well. So it's going to dim that down for you quite astronomically, to be fair. It's actually turned it completely the other way. But I'm going to go with the light theme for the now, because I can do that in the middle of the day. All right. Now, on the right-hand side here, you have the job status breakdown. So you can see that I have 3 jobs being estimated at the moment. Okay, none are awaiting the customer reply. If that was the case, you can set that within the software, so at least you know what clients you need to chase up as well. All right. On the left-hand side, we then have the library, and if we hit the drop-down box, we then have price book, specification, different merchants, overhead profit and inflation, estimating calculators, groups of estimating calculators, and so on. Now, you can either have it tucked away on the left-hand side here, or you can click the library button. And what that's going to do is spread it across the screen for you. Now, it's entirely up to you, and it's user discretion on how you want to view things, okay? So it's there if you need it, okay? First off, overhead profit and inflation. Quite self-explanatory, to be fair. It's what you want to on every job, overhead, profits, and then in the back of your mind, what you should be charging for inflation aspects as well. Now, a rule of thumb, speaking to a lot of builders, they usually say about 15% of any job is going to be covering overheads. That could be anything from your salaries that you've got to pay somebody in the office, to your insurances, your phone contracts as well, to make sure that you are using everything for business, so you can claim everything back in your tax as well. All right, so it's always good to have that 15% in there, and then start looking at your profit as well. Now, this should be anywhere between 15 to 20%. Now, don't be frightened about adding on essentially 35% to your job before VAT goes on there, because you're in this business to make money. Many builders are making a lot of money, and they are charging the higher rates as well. All right, if you've got an established business with enough detail and accreditation to show that you are charging the price that you are, this shouldn't be an issue. And if you're confident in yourself and the work that you can deliver as a builder, then you should have no problem whatsoever. Okay, and then you have the inflation rate. You have 5% starting after 12 weeks. Now, the reason why we've given it 12 weeks is because when you've quoted a job and you've started ordering your materials, okay, a lot of builders usually do that 6 to 8 weeks beforehand, just to make sure that everything is correct going forward. Okay, but we're making sure that if there is a quarterly change, you are going to be updated for that. All right, going from here, we've got the price books, so I can hit the drop-down box. We've got the master price book. If I hit that drop-down box again, we've got materials, labour, plant, subcontractor, sundry. Again, if I click the name, it will spread it across the screen for me. But I'm going to go for the labour first time off. Then what we have on the left-hand side are all your tradesmen and their gangs as well. Okay, so you have your bricklayer, bricklayer and a mate, bricklayer and two mates, two bricklayers and a mate, sorry, and so on. So what you can do is, if you want to change any of these, all you've got to do is just double click. So this is currently £250 a day. If I know it's £200 a day, I could change that down to £25 an hour. Click OK, and then that £25 is in there. What the software is also going to do is timestamp the last time that you changed this price, so that's going to be the 10th of July at 9:30. All right, the last time the software updated the costs was the 4th of July, okay, at 1:20. All right, and we usually advise you to spend the first 15-20 minutes of your ownership of the software going through the material, plant, and labour costs. Okay, because you want to make sure that if you are estimating, you're estimating accurately. Okay, going from here, we can then start looking at the material. Now, we can help you in a case when it comes to your material, a couple of ways really. If you work with the likes of Travis or TradePoint, Keyline, all right, we can get your account number from these merchants, put that into the software, and it's going to upload all your pre-agreed terms. All right, if you don't, that's absolutely fine. What we can do is we can work with your local merchant. All you need to do is get their prices on an Excel spreadsheet. All right, it's the only way that we can help you get their prices into the software with ease and quickly. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is just put it in there individually, and that would be quite mind-numbing as a job, to be fair. I wouldn't want to do it. So yeah, we can help you do that. That's absolutely fine. So I can scroll down a little bit further. So you've got your architectural stone sills here, your hardwood windows. If I were to type in nails, all right, and click find, nails would come up in the software. All right, so we've got the round wire nails. So we're looking at everything from top to bottom when it comes to your business. All right. So If you wanted to add in any particular material, all you've got to do is just go to that material type. So if I wanted to add in a particular brick because the specification was asking for it, I can do that here, and then select which is essentially what I want to create, which is going to be a facing brick. I can go up to the top, click New Resource, and start adding in my brick. So I can go evening demonstration brick, customer friendly description, July brick, specification, description, it's going to be a facing brick. Okay, unit cost, that's going to be how much I pay for them. Now, this directly correlates with this option here. All right, so although we have 40 pence a brick at the moment, I might be able to change that to, say, £1.20 a brick. But under units of purchase, I need to make sure that that says each. All right, because if it says meter square, that means I'm paying £1.20 per meter square, and you will drastically underquote what you're going to be needing. All right. Beneath that, you then have your merchant. So we have the HP Excel price tracker in there. All right. But what I can do is, and you can see the other ones we work with. So you've got Keyline, TradePoint, Travis, Bollocks. All right. You can always click Add. Evening merchants. Click OK. That's going to be in there. And last but not least, you want the merchant code. All right. We've got HBO 0035. What I can do is I can go EM1234. Say OK. At least that way, then when I'm ordering my materials and the product codes are coming up, I can select that. I will be nice and happy. Now we've got VAT in there as well. All right. And although I said last but not least on the merchant code, I was wrong there. I jumped the gun a little bit. We've got the wastage. Okay. Now you're always going to want to charge wastage with your materials. Okay. On certain materials anyway. You wouldn't calculate wastage on maybe a fridge. No, you definitely wouldn't. But what you can do is you can start calculating anywhere between 5 and 10% for your wastage as well. Once you're happy with that, you can click OK. And then you have your brick in there. Now, I do have a question over on the right-hand side here. I did have a hand up. Okay. Does anybody have a question? Terribly sorry. It didn't look like I had a question. I'll give you 2 minutes to write that in if you need to. Okay. But yes, what you'll do is you'll find that we have your evening demonstration brick there. Removing that, I can then start looking at the plant. All right. Now your plant's going to cover you from anything from your access towers all the way through to your dust sheets. Okay, so I've got my access tower here. Scroll down a little bit further. We've got top saws, circular saws, dust sheets, jigsaws as well. Now the reason why we have these costs in there, not because you're going to be renting them every week, but sooner or later these things do break when you own them. Okay, you have to go out and you have to buy more. More along the lines of your gloves, maybe helmets as well, high-vis jackets that get ripped, all right, get lost. As a business owner, you're the one that usually gets stumped with a bill with that. So we want to make sure that you are being able to charge that as well. So what we do have is you will see at the bottom here, where are you? You have your tool allowance. That's £100 a month, all right, currently. Now you can change that to £100 a week if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But we are charging that for you to cover for your wear and tear more than anything else. All right, so just know at the end of 12 months, we've charged your clients £1,200 for the use of your tools, because if they break, you've got to buy them, and that's a business expense. All right. But once you're happy with this, you can then start going into your dashboard. All right. We want to create a new job. And then we have these 4 options. So as this is a take-off an estimate kit, we're going to be using the third option tonight, called Quote with Planned Express Import. But I just want to go over a few of the options that you have here as well. Now, the quote from the standard job template, we have templates in there for you from the very beginning. Now, under the core option of our estimating software, you've got extensions and renovations. Under Plus, you've got extensions, renovations, loft conversions, and plumbing and heating. And then under the premium option, you've got extensions, renovations, loft conversions, plumbing and heating, new build, basements and retaining walls, and so on. All right. Now, under your templates, you're going to be able to see anything from your bungalows to your attached garages, to detached garages, extensions, and so on. All right. Then we have the quote from the custom job template. Now, it's going to estimate similar to this. So what it's going to do is going to combine those dimension wizards that you saw earlier on when we were in Plans Express. So if you're going to be selecting a brick and block cavity wall, under these two, if you were to select brick and block cavity wall, it will come up with the height, the length, the foundations, the plastering options, the footing options, the decorating options as well. All right? It's all combined. And that's what differs from this fourth option. Now, the fourth option says, quote using estimating calculators. Our software has anywhere between 900 to 1,000 calculators in, okay, from any job from painting radiators all the way through to building 3-4-story houses. Okay, what this allows you to do is break down each individual calculator on its own. Because if you were asked to go into a job and essentially just touch up everything that was going to be missing, everything from a maintenance side of things, okay, you can select decorate skirting, snagging, boxing in. These things you can select under here as an individual job. Okay, you can estimate for those and give a quote over. All right, so we've not done any of the combination aspects that we've got up here. All right. So quote from the Plans Express import. What we're going to do is we're going to select the job that we did earlier on. So I'm going to select the evening demonstration option, click OK. We're going to have a little image of it come up in the right-hand corner here. And then what we can do is we can pre-populate this information with the details about the job. So we've got a job name as evening demonstration or evening dem. Job description, if I hit that drop-down box, we're going to have anything from 3-bedroom house to extension, school, shops, and so on. But what I want to do is I want to select extension. Okay, I can write anything in there that I want. If I wanted to type in Trump's wall, I could do it. All right. Price book is going to be the master price book. Estimating calculators are going to be the Plans Express import because that's what we want to calculate. All right. Then we have the build program. It's going to give us a start date. It's going to stick us into next month. All right. But unless you're clairvoyant, you're never going to know when the job's going to start, really. So you can leave that as it is, and then build program type, you can select what we've got damn near close to. Now, on the home page that you saw, under the library, there was build phase options, build programs. Okay, so you can, if you want to, create your own, but we have these in here for you. So I'm going to select small extension, and the only difference between a small extension and a large extension, okay, these two here, is that small extension is single story. That's the only difference. All right. Client address and site address usually the same place. So if I click that here, I can go Mr. and Mrs. Smith of 123 Fleet Street. Stick them in London. N11NN. Okay, we don't have to worry about the telephone, mobile, or email right now. But we can then just click this button and say copy details to the site address, click update, and that's going to pre-populate in there for us. All right. Going from there, we can then start looking at the specification. Now, we offer online skills training courses, and one of our courses actually covers the specification. Now, it's just like a specification that you read on your everyday jobs. All right. It's a list of materials that you need to do to build the actual extension, that structure. Now, we've got extension site fabricated timber frame, extension spec, extension timber frame spec, new build, renovation, and so on. And you can create your own specifications. Now, what this allows you to do is set your own default materials within the software. Okay, so if you know that you get a very good deal on a particular brand of sand, you can set that sand as your default in the software under one of these specifications, and once you've selected that specification, that default sand is the only sand that's going to get picked. All right, so you can do that. We train you how to do that. Okay, I wouldn't ever go into a demonstration, okay, because it's one of those more technical aspects. However, the moment you learn specifications within this software, the entire thing becomes so much easier. All right, just so you're aware. And last but not least, we have something called the mini specs. Okay, so with a tiny bit of a disregard to this, what this is going to do is going to allow you to get quick quotes and quick costs from the very beginning. So we've got the external brickwork. We can select a price brick from the very beginning. I'm going to go 70 pence because what I want to do is I want to select that evening demonstration brick that we created a moment ago. Roof tiling, you've got plain tile, a pan tile, or a slate. Roof guttering, plastic, cast iron, aluminium, zinc, steel, whether you want it rectangular, half round cut, it's entirely up to you, or, well, depending on the specification, really. Fascia barge boards and soft sloped roofs into flat roofs. Now, I've got a sloped roof here, so I'm going to select UPVC, but I could select softwood if that was going to be the case. We've got decoration, and that says same as specification. Now, what the specification is going to be based on is everything we've done the takeoff to and everything that we've said yes or no to. So if we've said yes to decorating, it's going to be decorated, and it's going to cost for the decoration. If we've said no, it won't. All right, that's simple. And then last but not least, plant and labour for the excavation. This can change job to job. That's why we put it in the mini spec, because you could be using a JCB, a mini digger, or the access could not allow you to get a mini digger in the back garden, so it's going to be a man with a kango and a shovel. All right, so I can select that if necessary, but for the time being, I'm just going to select mini digger. And before I hit create job, we've got these two options here. We've got review profit markup, review inflation rates. Now, what I can do is if I wanted to, I can jig these if I know the client can afford it a little bit more. All right. Click create job, and the software's going to import everything that we've just done a takeoff on. Okay. And then start giving us a live cost. All right. So whilst that's doing that, if you can think of any questions that you have, just jot them down in the right-hand corner. Should be a place for you to be able to write them and ask away. All right. And all you really need to do is just wait for that to start loading into place as well. All right. Import complete. And the job's coming out at £20,080.92 right now. Okay, so I can click OK. Now, there might be some things that you weren't too confident in actually trying to draw. All right. Do I want to review the lintels and cavity closures specified in the assessment? If I click yes, this box will come up, and we can just make sure that these are correct. Okay, if I hit the drop-down box, we can select the ones as well. All right, but I'm happy with that. Now, there are some things that you definitely wouldn't draw on a plan, the likes of site establishment, and going forward, the likes of your subcontract quotes up at the top here as well. So what you can do is, if you wanted to, you can start adding these things in. So on the site establishment, if I click that there, I can go site establishment for a large extension. If I go all the way down to small extension, I have the option of saying that I'm using the customer toilet or not. But if I'm not, I'm just going to go with small extension, click add, and then a dimension wizard comes up in front of us again. All right. And this time it's going to ask us about site cabin, site toilet, length of security fencing, duration of security fence hire as well, depending on what it's going to be. What the site compound base will be as well, the length and the width that we want to remove from the site. Skip permit for the project if we have to have the skip on the road for 2 months. What's that going to cost us? And then we have our insurance costs, social security costs, health and safety costs, and any traffic regulation costs that you might have to incur just in case your job does expand onto the main road. All right. Once you're happy with that, you have that in place. And then you can start going on to other things that you could add in there. Anything from bathrooms and cloaks, utility room fitting out as well. These are things that you might just feel more comfortable about estimating without drawing as well. Okay. If you want to start changing any of the materials, you can hit the brick and block cavity wall. I can click open here. We have our dimensions, as you can see them here. If I wanted to change these, I can. It's entirely up to me. All right. Then we've got calculated resources. So if I select that, what we're going to be able to see are the items used for, what the items are, how much they cost, how we buy them in, what they're going to be used for. All right. So if I go to bricks above DPC less openings, we've got a 70p brick in there at the moment. And their estimated rate is about £42 per square metre, okay, because it's calculating 60 bricks per square metre. All right. Now, if I wanted to change this brick, all I have to do is just right-click and go change resource. Once I do that, we can then start selecting our evening demonstration brick here. Select that resource. We've got usage units in meter square, 60 per meter square. I'm happy with that. Click OK. We've now got that £1.20 per annum, £1.20 brick in there instead. All right. And as we can see over on the right-hand side, it gives us a breakdown of what we're going to be doing and using. All right, so we do have 26.65 square meters, and that's what we have to start calculating as well. All right, and it's going to be about roughly £72 per square meter. All right, going further down, we can then start changing any of the labor. If we're not going to be using 2 bricklayers to make, we can choose 1 bricklayer and 1 mate, or just 1 bricklayer on his own. And then you've also got your shovel costs, trench sheets costs, skips costs, and so on. All right. But once you're happy with that, you can then go back into the main estimate if you wanted to. And you can see that the overall cost of the walls have changed and the cost of the job has changed as well. All right. So these things have gone up because we've made changes. Now you can add in any assumptions or omissions at this stage, and you can also add in any provisional sums. It's entirely up to you, okay, depending on how fast you're trying to get your job out. Going from there, we can then go down to the outputs. So we start looking at the reports. So first off, if I go into the graphs, no, we're not going to look at the graphs. Let's look at the data reports instead. We can look at, first off, the cost summary report. This is definitely going to be worthwhile if you're dealing with, say, development plots, okay, and having to go to the bank and dealing with them. Only because this is going to give you a detailed breakdown of what you need to spend on labor, material, plant, subcontractors, and your sundry items such as insurances and such as well. So it's going to give you a full breakdown of whatever you're going to take off on or your own drawing on. All right. As you can see, currently under wastage, it's got nothing on the labor aspect. All right, because you hope your labor aren't going to be wasting time. But under the material, do have these wastage costs in there as well. All right, then we have our plant and sundry items in there also. All right. Going from there, we can then start looking at the materials used. So this is going to break down build phase by build phase for you to be able to see exactly under the joinery first fix exactly what materials your joiner needs. Everything from your cut clasp nails through to your sawn, softwood, kiln dry treated timber. Okay, so your unprimed door lining as well, window boards, wood screws, and so on. All right, so you can show as much or as little as this as you want. Okay, I don't know why it showed joinery first, but we do have electrical. We have footings in there as well. if we just select those, we can see that they start becoming highlighted. All right, so we can make sure that we can see everything. And under the masonry shell, we've got our evening demonstration brick. So I can start seeing that and isolating that information as well if needed. All right, it's entirely up to me. Okay, and then we can drag in as much or as little information as we want. It's just depending on what we want to show. All right, or take out what we don't want as well. So we can take out and minimize all this information as well. Okay, it's entirely up to you what you might want to show. So it's now a lot smaller. All right. Going from here, you can then start looking at the overall quote that's going to be sent out as well. So you've got the quote for the main estimate. If I click this one here, the job's going to load up the quote for us. Okay, something that you can hand over to your client. So you can use ours if you want to. If you don't want to use ours and you want to use something else, that's absolutely fine. All right, it's entirely up to you. Okay, but we've got an extension for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I can scroll down a little bit further. 123 Fleet Street. We've got our introductory statement and something I can sign off. You'll have your company logo here, any headers, any footers that you want, any affiliations that you have as well. Okay, I'm just going to probably zoom in just a little bit more. First thing that comes up is the summary report, everything from commencement all the way through to completion, and what the overall cost is, including VAT down at the bottom there, £35,755 and 1 penny. All right, we might give them a discount, might take that down to 0. All right, going from there, we can then start seeing commencement, site setup, oversight, foundations, footings, and so on. Now, you might see them on individual pages at the moment, only because what we can do is we can isolate that by just going down to, say, if I want to have a look at plastering, I can click plastering, and it's going to take me to a relevant page. It's not going to sandwich it between 2 different options. All right, so we can or cannot show what we want. Now, if I wanted, because at the end of this, by the way, it gives you a cost summary report, total build phase cost anyway. You can, if you wanted to, go to the breakdown by build phase, just click that name over there, and then you can take away the images, you can take away the total build phase cost, and if you wanted to apply those changes, it's going to look something more on the lines of this. All right, and it'll do that for you for your entire job. It's entirely up to you. You can show as much or as little as you like. All right. And at the very bottom, you'll have your acceptance. So if you and your client sign this, at least you both have each other's signatures, really. And then you have an agreement in place for you to be able to start work. All right. If you do have this, we do have a stage payment calculator as well within the software. All right. So we can select that here. You can select up to a 20, 30, 40, 50% deposit. Have it written in place as well. That's going to be non-refundable. It's entirely up to you. That's going to be under your terms and conditions anyway. All right, which, as you can see, you can add on to our quote as well. But what you're going to be able to see here is a detailed breakdown of a start and the end of build phases, what we're going to be able to do for your client, how much it's going to cost, what's going to be done, what the cost is excluding and including VAT, up to the sum of £35,754. Okay. If you want to bill and take a deposit, just click this button at the top, and you can say it's going to be a 20% deposit, and that's going to be taken on the agreed date. So you can say if it was going to be today, and it's going to be non-refundable. Oh, we can go with the deposit today. Apply those changes. All right, at least we have that £5,000 up and running, non-refundable, and then what we can do is we can have the rest built in that way as well. We can have it interrupted into days if you want to have it broken down into weeks and the costs per week. You can do that as well. It's entirely up to you. All right. And that is Takeoff and Estimate Kit. And this is Estimator Express. Before we shut down, does anybody have any questions? Okay, I can see your hand is raised. Gareth, can you type that question into the bar on the right-hand side for me, please? Is there an option to create invoices with percentage completions against them? With the invoice generating bonus pack that we've actually got coming out, we can select and you can build them per build phase, absolutely. However, it would really depend on how you want it to be billed, to be fair. So if you were looking at, say, a £2,000 job, you're wanting to tell the software that you're only halfway through, you want to build the client for £1,000. I know it's very basic maths, but essentially that's the premise. It won't automatically write those invoices for you, but that is something that you can do within the software, absolutely. All right, especially when the invoice generator does come out. Okay, I don't want to say yes from the very beginning. All right, that it will do it automatically. But to be fair, it's not usually a question that we usually get answered. If I'm totally honest with you, Gareth. But the honest answer is, right now, I don't know. But I know if you did it manually, absolutely. All right. I'm sorry, that's quite a vague answer, really. Your best bet would actually be speaking to one of the technical guys. Someone like Tom or Josh would definitely have a better answer, an idea of what's going to be coming when it comes to the invoicing aspect of the software anyway. Okay, reading that second bit, I actually don't believe it will. No. Okay, if you were to put in 66.6%, I don't believe that the software would calculate how much the client would have to pay. I think it would be suggesting payment on a full fee basis, or a build phase basis, unfortunately, Gareth. I don't believe it would be able to work like that. I'm sorry. Do you have any other particular questions at all? I'm terribly sorry that it probably might not be the best answer that you want. Unfortunately, I just don't think the software is going to be able to do that. When's the invoicing update due? Oh, that's a question. I actually don't know. To be fair, Gareth, if I'm going to be completely honest, I know it's in its final stages, if not nearing completion. To be fair, only because we have the stage payment out at the moment, and they go hand in hand. So as the stage payment is out right now, you are going to be looking at the invoicing very soon. All right. Are there any other questions this evening before we sign off? Okay, we produce the quotes format compatible with Excel. We could import each line item and then columns for percentage completion. Well, I know with the reports of the stage payment calculator and your cash flow report as well, that is something that you can, one moment, let me just remove this from the screen. You can use the export cash flow and report to Excel. So everything within this software, although we say you do not need Office, it does all work fluently with Excel as well. Okay, so we've got the cash flow report here. I just move this out of the way. We can see what has to come in and what has to go out in the revenue that we're going to be making. Okay, cumulative in the cash flow as well. However, if we went down into let's have a look. Build phases by estimating calculators. Okay, we've got commencement, completion, electrical first fix, second fix. We can select build phase. That's currently in alphabetical order, but we can set that in a different way. I know we can. Okay, bear with me a second. Let me just load this one up. I think if you were going to be sharing something like that in Excel, Gareth, what the best thing would do is probably a one-to-one conversation on the phone tomorrow to actually be able to deal with that. Only because that would, personally, I don't want to be able to have other people being able to see how you have your reports for one. And I think that way then we can go into a much deeper discussion about how and if the software is actually going to be inclined to what you need it to do. All right. But I know you can set the software to have your build phase in the way that it's going to be, in the way the software is going to be built. You can take out the estimating calculator name, deal with the worksheet name, and you're going to have the accumulated cost next to it as well. All right. And you can export all of this to Estimator Express. Not Estimator Express, we're in Estimator Express, for goodness sake. In Excel. All right, that's something that you can absolutely do. And for some odd, peculiar reason, probably because I have so many things running at once, my Estimator Express, there we go. It's decided to become on my side. Brilliant. So what I can do is I can have this in any which way I need it to be. Okay. Scroll down, going further and further. And we can start seeing research costs going forward as well. Now, this might be overkill for the information that you need to be having. Okay, but what we can do is we can start finding how we can break this job down for you as well. All right, if I go to the costs, including that, 1 second. So what we've got here is we've got the build phase, although it's in alphabetical order, we can change that for you. All right, and then we've got all their costs next to them as well. Costs including that, quantity including wastages as well. So if we were to remove everything that we don't need, so we can take that out. This is cost including wastage. Okay, so we can take that. Well, we can leave that in there if we wanted to. It's entirely up to us. But what we have here is we have our build phase, resource costs, including that as well. Oh, Jesus, how big does this need to be? Okay, so we have that there. So we have our overall breakdowns. All right, if we were to export anything like this into Excel, we could do an Excel workbook, CSV format as well, depending on whether it needs to go into the likes of Xero or anything that you could be working when it comes to an accounting software. But this information can be broken down. I save that. It should pop open Excel for me, start bringing this information in. And as you can see, I'm using Office 365 right now. Okay, so what we can start seeing is everything that we have here as well. All right, through Masonry Shell. And we start adding in our own calculations and onslaughts as well. All right, that is something that we can absolutely do. Okay, like a row area. Yeah, we can start going into the resources, job references as well, depending on what we need it to be. All right. Before we end off today, do we have any more questions? What I will do is, Gareth, I will give you a call tomorrow morning, or well, I will give you a call first thing. If you're not in the office, then we can arrange later in the day, and we can actually have a discussion about how you need your Excel reports to look, and we'll see what we can do in line with the software. All right. But until then, does anybody have any questions? Brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to give you a call then, Gareth. All right, and until then, have a wonderful evening, and thank you everybody else for having looking at our software. And I'll give everybody their respective calls tomorrow morning. Again, thank you, and have a very good evening.